Hello everyone, welcome back to one more video session. In this session, I'm going to talk about two important concepts only required for NEET, not for board actually. The one is polygenic inheritance with two examples. So you have to remember the phenotypic ratio of the two examples, which are very important. The next one is the complementary genes, okay, which is conducted by Bateson and Punnett in a particular plant called as Lathyrus odoratus. You have to remember the phenotypic ratio of that particular experiment. Okay, so first we'll go with the polygenic inheritance. You know that polygenic means poly means many genes are responsible for the development of one particular character. Okay, or we can say that many genes are responsible for like expression of one character. Okay, so we write polygenic inheritance. So it is also a type of intergenic interaction. Got it? So between two different genes present in different chromosomes, not on homologous chromosome. That's it. Okay, polygenic inheritance. Okay. So here I am taking two examples. First example is human skin color. Okay, so we just write human skin color. You might have seen the people with a different body color, the skin color. You know there is reason behind the development of the body color. Simple reason is a protein which is synthesized by a particular gene which is responsible for the development of a protein which is called as melanin. More the melanin, obviously the body color will be darker. Less the melanin, the body color will be lighter. That's it. Okay, so that's actually the basic thing to remember. Human skin color. The first thing is there are certain dominant genes which are present in different chromosomes, not on exactly one chromosome. You know it, so no need to write. But still, let me just go with one example. So let us assume that this is actually a homologous pair, and I'm taking another homologous chromosomal pair, and I'm going to take one more homologous chromosome pair like that. Let us just name it as like this is chromosome number 3, this is actually 8, and this is 12, simply for our understanding. Okay, so let us just name it actually, this is the locus where a dominant homozygous A gene is present, okay, and in this particular locus another dominant B gene is present, homozygous B, and again I'm taking somewhere else here actually the locus or the loci actually differs, correct, on each chromosome. Here I will just take capital letter C, which is homozygous. Okay, so here how many genes are there? 3 genes are there in a single person. Okay, what are they? A, B, C. We have 3 genes. Obviously, the allelic form AA, BB, CC, we know it. Okay, this particular gene is responsible for the production of melanin. So these genes, this is actually, I have used capital letter, please understand it. So this is a dominant genes. These are all actually dominant genes. More the dominant genes, obviously, like the melanin production actually increases, and as a result, the person becomes very black. The color of that person is black. More the melanin, the color will be more blacker. That's actually the basic thing. So let us just understand human skin color. I'll just give you the name of the scientist who actually conducted or like seen this particular development of colors in each individuals. The name of the scientist is Davenport. Just remember it. Scientist called as Davenport, and you have to remember one more thing, that is the phenotypic ratio. I'll write it. Phenotypic ratio of this human skin color. See, the experiment is very simple. It is a tri-hybrid cross. Okay, so you know that the total number of offsprings which is produced in F2 generation will be 64, correct? Okay, so phenotypic ratio 1:6:15:20 then again 15:6:1. Okay, so if you count it, like there are 64 offsprings, and how many phenotypes are there? Okay, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So we get 7 different colors. Okay, in particular human skin color, there are 7 different human skin colors are there with a phenotypic ratio that is 1:6:15. Then like that you have to remember. Please remember this ratio, and total number of phenotypes, that is 7. Please remember it. These two are very important actually. So this is a tri-hybrid cross. Let us just see with the experiment. Okay, there is a cross between a Negro. Okay, so here I have told you that all the genes are in homozygous condition. This obviously the alleles are homozygous. Okay, same And if this is the condition, then obviously the person will be very black, very dark. So obviously the Negro is the darkest people, correct? You know that. Okay, this kind of community is the darkest, person or people. You see them in this population, correct? Negro, which is actually crossed with like in humans, right? Obviously this fellow marries a very fair or like albinic woman. Albinic means fair, very fair. Okay, so obviously there should not be any synthesis of melanin. Obviously that particular female or person should have all recessive genes. How many genes are there? 3 genes are there. Okay, so this is actually the thing, right? You know that how to take the gametes, correct? So obviously the one gamete will contain all A, B, C genes, and here also small letter A, B, C genes. So obviously if you just cross, okay, during the fusion of these two gametes, obviously you get heterozygous condition, correct? So this is now the heterozygous condition is intermediate color, because A is also there, along with that small a is also there. A is responsible for more melanin, whereas this small a is responsible for not production of melanin. As a result of it, like the melanin ultimately becomes or settles exactly as intermediate. Okay, so it will not go higher or lower, it will be intermediate. So the young one, the F1 generation or the offspring of these two cross will be showing the intermediate color. Okay, not black or not albinic or not fair. Okay, so this is actually the intermediate color. Okay, so again actually the selfing, that this is the basic thing. Okay, if you just if you want to do it, you can do it, otherwise leave it, no issues. After selfing actually a total of 7 different phenotypes were obtained. You could see here 1, 6, 15, 20, 15, 6 and 1, and here the one which is normally this one. Okay, so this one will be AA, BB and CC. Obviously that means this particular, they will, out of 64 offspring, one will be 100% Negro. Okay, so whereas this one is recessive, like the female, the mother, that is 100% recessive genes where no melanin is produced. Obviously that is albinic, correct? Albinic, very fair. One is Negro, that is very dark, and in this case very fair. Okay, that is albinic. So whereas here from this 6 to this 6 you see the intermediate color. Let us see it particularly. In this case here the person will be bit very dark. See, Negro means very dark, whereas this 6 is very dark, bit lighter color compared to this Negro color, and this one is actually dark. Okay, this is commonly seen. Whereas 20, obviously we Indians, we are intermediate almost. Okay, so intermediate, 20 are intermediate. Then 15 again actually bit like what we say lighter, like light. So or maybe like we just write fair. And in this case very fair, and in this case completely albinic, no melanin is produced. So this is actually how to remember. So it is a trihybrid cross. Actually you can just do it. How many, like in this case, how many gametes are produced? You know the formula actually. So we have 8 gametes, 2 to the power 3. Obviously we have 8 gametes, correct? So that's it. You can do it also if you want. You can do it, otherwise leave it. Please remember these two actually. The Davenport, who actually found that human skin color has 7 phenotypes. Okay, so whereas he given actually the phenotypic ratio is this. You have to remember this. That's it. Okay, a cross between Negro and albinic woman. Okay, and as a result whatever the offspring they got, they had intermediate color. Okay, so total 64 offsprings were produced in F2. Out of 64 you could see the phenotypic ratio, that is 7 phenotypes. What is that 7 phenotype? That's it. So this is actually about the first example for polygenic inheritance. Simple here. So again we can understand it, polygenes, correct? See, the color is Negro color, and for this color how many genes are responsible? 3 genes are responsible. More than 2 genes which are responsible for a single character, then this kind of condition or inheritance or heredity is called as polygenic inheritance. Okay, it is a type of intergenic inheritance or interaction. Okay, now we'll learn the second example for polygenic inheritance. Okay, so it is a type of dihybrid cross experiment. So I'll write here the second example is the kernel Yeah, you know what is the meaning of kernel? It is nothing but formed due to the formation of endosperm. Correct? Okay, so kernel color in wheat. Remember it? And it was first discovered by two scientists, alright? The names of them, okay, Nelson Eel and East. Okay, two scientists discovered polygenic inheritance. That means more than two genes which are responsible for the development of color in the kernel in wheat seeds. Okay, so just we will go fast, very simple actually. So I'll just write the phenotypic ratio because this is important. No need to remember everything, but you have to remember the scientist name and then this fellow, this one actually, the phenotypic ratio, that is 1:4:6:4:1. So this is actually the thing to remember. Dihybrid cross, if you just count, obviously 5, 11, 15 and 16. Total 16 offsprings will be produced in F2. Okay, so this is the phenotypic ratio. Okay, so very simple. What we do is a cross between red kernel seed, so red kernel wheat seed, into a white, the pure white kernel seed. Okay, so I'll just write white here. Okay, so we just give the alphabets for the genes. As I said, it is a dihybrid cross. We take P, P, Q, Q, all in homozygous condition. Okay, capital letters P, P, Q, Q, Q. These two genes are responsible for the development of red color in the kernel, which is crossed with white kernel. So the gene should be recessive. That is small p, small p, small q, small q. That's it. Okay, so due to the cross, obviously what you get is this. P, Q, Q. So this is actually a intermediate of the parent 1 and 2. Correct. So here, due to the cross between red and white kernel types, that is actually the plants, obviously you get intermediate colors. Okay, so intermediate, here we have P and Q. Now both are in dominant state. Obviously the color would be almost red. Not white, not exactly red, it's like intermediate or intermediate red. That is actually lesser contrast compared to this parent. Okay, so that is the thing. And due to the cross, obviously, same PP, Q, Q. Okay, selfing, and finally we get in the F2 generation, obviously we get around 16 offsprings. Okay, so in the phenotypic ratio 1:4:6:4:1. Here the 1 is actually exactly like this parent, that is alphabets, that is homozygous, P, P, Q, Q, all are in dominant condition. Obviously it will be very dark, very red, sorry, not dark. Okay, very red. In this case, the 4 are a bit less red compared to this. We just okay, somewhere like we write dark red. Okay, in this case, intermediate red. Okay, so intermediate between red and white, so we write intermediate red. Almost it is reddish in color, not whitish, but very less reddish. Okay, so in this case actually less red. Okay, and finally this one is the white color. Okay, so the white kernel. So remember last one, obviously this one is recessive, PP, Q, Q. This one is homozygous dominant, PP, Q, Q. That's all about it. Very simple actually. Please remember these two things. Okay, so that's all about the kernel color, which is a dihybrid cross experiment, whereas human skin color is a trihybrid cross experiment. That's it. Okay, so remember it. Okay, that's all about it. Now we'll talk about the complementary genes. Now we will study about complementary genes. You know the meaning of complementary. Very simple actually. In a heterozygous condition, obviously you might have seen in all the cross experiments, it could be dihybrid cross or trihybrid cross, it doesn't matter actually. The F1 will be always, it is intermediate. That is actually, you could see one dominant gene and then its recessive gene, again one dominant and recessive, which is heterozygous, correct? Okay, if two dominant genes are present, two different dominant genes. Please remember, if I take capital A small a, capital B small b, it is heterozygous condition. So I am taking capital A and capital B. These two genes are entirely different actually, and both the genes are dominant, correct? Okay, in this heterozygous dominant condition, both the genes, they actually help each other to express. Okay, as a result, some phenotype will be developed, and this is called as complementary genes. Remember that if capital A is absent, the capital B cannot express. If capital B is absent, capital A cannot express. So this is actually the thing. Okay, so that's actually called as the complementary genes. Okay, so fine, I write complementary genes. It is also a type of intergenic interaction. Intergenic means the interaction is happening between two different types of genes actually present on a different chromosome, or it could be on the same chromosome. Okay, so complementary genes. What we do is first I write the scientist. You know this fellow, the Bateson. He actually coined the term genetics as well as alleles or allelomorphs. Remember Bateson. And then another fellow, that is the Punnett. These two scientists actually they conducted a series of experiment on a particular type of pea plants, not exactly Pisum sativa. It is a different type of pea plant. Normally it is called as sweet pea. I'll write the scientific name, that is, please remember it, Lathyrus odoratus. Okay, so Lathyrus odoratus, please remember, very important, scientist name and the name of the plant, that is scientific name. Normal name is sweet pea, remember this also, okay, could be asked. Okay, in that particular plant they discovered complementary genes. Okay, first I'll just tell you. They actually conducted a cross between two different types of Lathyrus odoratus. The one which is having the white colored flower. What color? White. The flower color is white. White flower. Crossed with another plant with white color flower. See, white with white. Okay, but what is interesting is, if I take this as male plant and this is actually the female plant, okay, so in the male plant the genotype, I'll just write capital letter P, I think better I'll take it as capital C, small p, see the genotype. Here one is a dominant gene, other one is recessive genes. We have recessive alleles here, dominant alleles here, correct? Two different genes actually. Okay, in this case it's exactly opposite, which is small c, capital P. See here. Okay, whatever the genotype, see, you could see a huge difference in the genotypes, correct? But this genotype is responsible for white color, this genotype is responsible for white color. You may get a bit of confusion here. See, you according to so far whatever the concept we have studied, that if something like dominant gene is there which is responsible for one character, here in male plant capital C is dominant, and maybe you think that it is responsible for white color. In this case capital C is not there. Instead of that it is in recessive form like such, but instead of that capital P is there. Here you could see recessive P. Okay, because of this the color is white, so it's a bit confusing. Let us see that. Okay, so we see it. What I do is first we just take the gametes, possible gametes. You know that there is only one possible gamete. In this case this is the gamete. Okay, so the fusion of these gametes will result in the formation of this type of genotype, which is now heterozygous. Okay, so here what we write is because of the cross between the white flower, that is Lathyrus odoratus, with another white flowered Lathyrus odoratus, in F1 generation the Bateson and Punnett actually they got a entirely different phenotype. You may think about incomplete dominance if I write the phenotype, that is purple color. The flower color actually of that particular plant, the F1 generation plants were purple. That means what is it? What's happening? In this case, you may think that capital C is responsible for white color, or maybe in this case capital P is responsible for white color. Here it is entirely different. When capital C is there present with another recessive P, here the capital C obviously cannot express. Here the capital C is a gene which is responsible for the production of a type of chemical called as chromogen. You know the meaning of chromogen. Chromo means color. So this gene is responsible for the development of the color, okay, because inside the chromogen there is one chemical which is called as anthocyanin. Okay, I'll just write here anthocyanin. But remember it, when the genotype is capital C with a small p like this, okay, obviously the capital C cannot even produce anthocyanin from its chromogen. Okay, why? The reason is very simple. For the production of anthocyanin from chromogen, we need one enzyme. Okay, so that enzyme is actually responsible for the conversion of the chromogen into anthocyanin. Okay, this enzyme is produced only from capital P gene, correct? So in this case you see capital C, but here you see small p. Obviously here enzyme cannot be produced. Here chromogen is produced, but it cannot produce the anthocyanin, correct? So as a result the color is white. Number one. The number two is, in this case, chromogen is not produced, but enzyme is produced. But enzyme cannot act on chromogen because there is no chromogen at all. As a result, the color of the flower will be white. If you look into the phenotype, obviously the color will be white. Obviously you think that the genotypes will be same. No, it is different actually. So you have to understand this. Okay, you know the reason also now, I told you. But in this case, capital C for the first time is present with capital P. In this case, the P produces the enzyme which is responsible for the conversion of the chromogen, which is produced from capital C, okay, chromogen, to produce or to release a chemical called as anthocyanin. Okay, this anthocyanin actually gives purple color to the flower. Here, can we say that it is complementary? Yes. Okay, so these two are friends, correct? Okay, capital C cannot actually produce anthocyanin without the presence of capital P. Okay, so capital P's presence should be essential for the development of purple color because we need anthocyanin from the chromogen, which is actually synthesized from capital letter C. Okay, so this is actually the very simple thing, that is complementary. Capital C and capital P are both complementary. If capital C is not there, capital P cannot express, whereas if capital P is not there, capital C cannot express. That's it. Okay, so if you just go with the selfing, then again you can do it. Actually it's very simple. Okay, you get 16 offsprings. Obviously it is a type of dihybrid cross experiment, you can do it. Okay, so finally the phenotypic ratio here, very important, you have to remember this, that is 9 purple flowers. That means that is in heterozygous condition itself, that is this condition, correct? The genotype could vary, but please remember one capital letter C and one capital letter P should be there for the development of purple color. 9 purple is to, I think, 7 white. Please remember it, out of 16 offspring in complementary gene experiment, 9 purple plant flowers in a plant and 7 white flowered plants were produced in F2. Please remember it. So now hope you understood it. So you have to remember a lot of phenotypic ratio. Please remember it. Please practice it. Okay, there is no confusion here. It is complementary genes. Remember, Bates and Punnett, and then chromogen, obviously anthocyanin. In some books they have given it as the P is responsible for the production of anthocyanin. No, chromogen is nothing but a color releasing the chemical. Actually the color is nothing but anthocyanin. It's a chemical actually which is present within chromogen, but chromogen cannot actually release the anthocyanin because it requires one enzyme. Okay, that's what actually capital C and capital P should be present to produce a purple color in the flower. Okay, so that's all about the complementary genes. Please remember everything. So the phenotypic ratio, 9 purple, 7 white. Okay, that's all about it. We'll see lethal genes and other type of intergenic interaction in the next session.